I've been trying to follow this Walker Kessler story for the last couple of days, trying to poke around broad, see if there's anything I can get out of it. It's rather strange because, talking with my coworker Michael Scotto, we know that Utah's in this precarious position where they're either gonna have to decide that they're in the same position that the Washington Wizards and Brooklyn Nets were in before they traded Bradley Beal, Kristaps Porzingis, and eventually they haven't traded Kyle, and then the Nets traded McHale. And I think they're closer to the situation to the Nets than they are in a situation with the Wizards where they had to hit the reset button. While the Nets, I think they truly wanted to build around McHale, and they were patient. They sat patiently looking for ways to build a roster around McHale without jeopardizing or basically putting themselves in a position that mortgages their future again. And they already had, a decent amount of young talent on the roster of the Nets. And I think a similar position, you could say the Utah Jazz are there, that if they were, and it seems like there are people that are putting out pretty large offers for Lauri Markkanen at a point where it's going to be that it might be easier to take the biggest offer on the table if it is similar to Mikal Bridges' offer and trade Lauri. So if that is the case, Walker Kessler, I don't think is a person you would want to keep. And regardless if you do keep Lauri and you don't trade Lauri to rebuild or whatever, it seems like John Collins at first seemed like he was going to get traded, but now it seems like they want to keep John Collins and they'd rather go forward with John Collins, Taylor Hendricks, and Lauri Markkanen as their front court players. So for me, I look at this position and I think it's weird. Because I like what they've been able to do in terms of acquiring contracts and talent and making sure that they're finding a fit. But Walker Kessler, according to Ian Begley, is a guy that he could be on his way out of Utah and heading to New York. And he does seem like a guy that would fit there. They've been in touch. They've supposedly been in discussion. The big man is a possible solution for them as a backup five. The Jazz want at least a first-round pick in return for Kessler. And the Knicks, that's going to be a tough price for them to match. And even if they were willing to match the first-round pick, they'd have to send a contract, in my opinion, because they are trying to avoid the luxury tax. So, how do we go about that? It does become a little bit more difficult than you would normally seem so, where a guy like Walker, who technically he had very similar stats to the year is for rookie season, it was just the efficiency went down. So if we did Utah, how much is Walker making that you would have to consider when doing something like this? Because their team right now is Keontae George, Jordan Clarkson, Isaiah Collier, Colin Sexton, Brees Sensabaugh, Tavion Kinsey, Darius Baisley, Cody Williams, Lauri Markkanen, John Collins, Taylor Hendricks, Kenneth Lofton, Kyle Filipowski, Drew Eubanks, and Walker Kessler. If you look at the Knicks, Walker Kessler, by the way, forgot to bring that up, 2.9, just under 3. They probably want to match that or get very similar to it so they can avoid the luxury tax as much as possible. So Keita Bates-Diop could be the guy that's traded. And that's the deal you would do. Keita Bates-Diop and a pick, and you're able to do it. Now, technically you're paying $300,000 more. That's very interesting. Very interesting. But yeah, that's the deal. That's the best way to do it. What do you guys think? Would you do it? I don't know.